What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode of Weekly Indie Newcomer. My name is Splattercat, and I'm happy to have you here today as we take a jaunt through an indie game that landed on my desk over the course of the last week or so, and offer our first impressions / review critique of the gameplay therein. Today's title up on the chopping block is Subterrain, Underground Base Apocalypse, and if you haven't heard about it, I'm not surprised because it released this week to Steam with somewhat less of a bang. In fact, a lot of people haven't really played the game. I sat down with it the other night, kind of skeptically feeling like it looked like a Congregate game, but after spending a couple hours with it, I can definitely see the promise here. And so, if you wanted kind of like a one-line synopsis of the game, it's a top-down shooter horror survival game in which players take control of an inmate who's the last one left on a Martian colony after it has been taken over by like demons and monsters and all kinds of crazy Doom-related shit. It's a pretty cool game, though. There's a lot of things here that I think a lot of people will be interested in, and so I wanted to take the time and feature it. Now, obviously, it does have its flaws. It is early access, and so it's not quite there yet, but if you wanted to get the game, it's available on Steam. You can check it out. I'll have the information for you at the end of the video when we do our pros and cons evaluation section, which is what I always like to end with. So without further ado, let's play some Subterrain. Fourth planet in the solar system, Mars. Mankind's first permanent colony on Mars, the MPO. MPO is a new hope for 10,000 people from Earth seeking a fresh start. And in this place for 1 year, 3 months, and 16 days, I've lived in the MPO-PD containment cell, Sector B05, cell number 6. My name is Albert West. Once they called me Dr. West, and I came to Mars on the promise of being able to freely conduct my research. Ultimately, it drove me to murder. I lost everything, and I was locked up here. To hell with the past. I'll wait for my death in this place. My rations have run out, and soon power will shut down, then maybe life support as well, and I'll die. It was a week ago, and I could sense that something was wrong. It was lunch, but there was no call to the dining hall. I was getting hungry, but then my chow slot opened. It was the guard, Hank. His eyes were strange, and I knew something was going down. There's gonna be a transfer today. Be ready at 0500 and take this. It's your only meal for the day. Beans! I didn't expect that to be my last meal. I've been without food for some time now. After he went away, there were loud noises outside. Sounds of beating batons, running, and there was a struggle. I could hear the sounds of other restless prisoners, and then there was a siren. Attention all prisoners. Doors will be open one cell at a time. Follow the guards and obey their orders. Prisoners who fail to comply will be executed on the spot. Executed? Jesus. I heard noise from the other cells and doors opening one by one. Cell 1. Cell 2. Cell 3, Cell 4, and Cell 5. Last was my cell, and I was ready to get out of here. And then all of a sudden, blackness. Just a tiny gap in the door, and then there was silence. All the noises seemed to be carried away from me. After a while, emergency power kicked in, red lights and some power to the circulation fans, but that was it. The door wouldn't budge. And that was a week ago. I tried everything to get out. My only chance seems like the air duct. Its fan seems to be slowing down, but it hasn't stopped yet. I'm reaching my limit, and I can't hold on for long. I feel so sleepy, but I can't sleep. I won't sleep. Okay, well, welcome to the MPO Containment Center. This is our character right here, and everything controls exactly how you'd figure it would. The WASD allows you to move your character around, whereas the mouse changes your facing. Your line of sight is determined by this little cone right here, and you can modify it as much as you see fit. Now, as this is a survival game, there's going to be food and water laying around all over the place. First and foremost, we're going to press the G key to pick up the purified water on the ground. Water with no floaties in it. Nothing gets me excited like water with no floaties. The next thing that we can do is we can press the Q key, which allows us to send out a little shockwave, I guess. It's almost like a little scanner that allows you to figure out what items are interactable. So, for example, there's a toilet over here, and he says he doesn't need to take a piss or a dump right now, which is pretty good. It's very, very difficult to have horror adventures while your stomach is all full and just being like... So let's go through the desk and see what we've got. We've got a light stick. Way better than the heavy stick. The light stick allows us to see all over the place. It's gone into our F slot right there. Always be careful about sticking things in your F slot. However, if you put the proper object in your F slot, I can virtually guarantee you will live a long and happy life. By holding down the right key, we can drag things around if we want to. They all have different weights, and they can be manipulated in different ways. This can be used later on in the game to kind of make barricades against walls while you loot things and to buy you a little bit of time. But for right now, it exposes the air vent that we're going to be going through. So in we go with the E key, which allows us to interact with things. It's very dark in here, but luckily we have a chem light, so there's not much to complain about at the moment. I think things are going to be fine, just fine. Let's jump out of this vent right here, and I can't wait to show off like the later aspects of this game because frankly, there's a lot of stuff here. I mean, I'm not even sure it's Jake's cell and he was a sweet junkie. It's always nice when junkies are nice. Just because you're a junkie doesn't mean that you can't be cordial. I think what they meant to say there is that he's a chocoholic. So if we go through his desk, bam, 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 we got ourselves a chocolate bar. Why was it arbitrarily decided that we were going to put chocolate in bars? Like, why don't we have chocolate orbs, for example? I think a chocolate orb sounds like fun, but maybe that's just me. There's another air vent over here, but this door is signified in green, meaning that we can leave. I'm going to go into this vent real fast and just see what we can locate. Did we just pop out? It takes us to this cell over here, which is also green lit. So that's pretty cool. Let's check this desk on this side. What has he got? Nothing inside the desk, so let's jump on out of the cell. I think this one was ours right here, and you can get to all the other cells if you want to. That one's non-functional, and it doesn't open, so I guess we went to a cell that we weren't really meant to be inside of. Let's backtrack a little bit. A lot of this game is going to be exploration and you working your way around in vents and going in places that you're not necessarily comfortable with. Just go with it, and I'm sure nothing horrible will happen. We can open and close doors by pressing E. That'll actually block your line of sight, as would be expected. Looks like this desk over here has nothing for us, but there's another vent under this bed. So let's continue to do the die-hard thing and crawl around, shall we? This one, I think, is going to lead... That one's blocked. And this one over here is going to release us on this side, which has another locked door. So let's have a look inside this desk. It's got nothing for us, and this desk looks like it's a dead end. So what we might want to do right now is let's jump back up and out. And having gone this way, since that one was blocked and we can't go anywhere else, is there anywhere to go right there? No, there's not. Okay, fantastic. Well, not so fantastic. I mean, we're trapped out here, but there we go. Now we're out of our cell. So let's go into this one. Oh, never mind. The door was already open, denoted by the fact that I could see inside of it with my eye holes. So... we have anything in here? There's a vent right there. I bet it was the bed that was blocking the vent. These vents seem awfully unsecure for a prison. Like, I don't know if that's something that maybe the staff should have been concerned about, but it seems really, really easy to get the hell out of here. There's a dead body on the floor, but most importantly, he's got a side bag right here. Some would call it a purse. I call it a messenger bag because I'm super, super confident in my masculinity. I have no problem wearing this into the toughest of neighborhoods without having to worry about, you know, getting wedgies or anything else. Am I lying to myself? Maybe, just a little bit. Let's go into this room right here, and you can see something right there. We'll deal with him in just a moment. However, in here we've got a baton. We'll grab that, and he automatically equipped it because I double-clicked it, but if you wanted to, you've got 3 hot slots for weapons down here at the bottom, so it could be like a baton, a gun, and a knife. Whatever you want to bring along, there are plenty of weapons in the game right now. I think there's something like 5 or 6 different guns. There's like 8 or 9 different melee weapons. There's a bunch of stuff. The game is obviously unfinished at the moment, but still, there's a pretty good cornucopia of things to just like get for yourself. There's nothing inside the workshop desk right there. This one had nothing either. We can sprint by holding down the shift key, by the way. That's going to become important in just a second. So when that opens, he's going to swing at us, and we're going to have to fight this guy. So I like to dance in like so. Oh, I got hit. That's unfortunate. Oh, no, he got me with the second one right there. So our health is down here in the bottom left-hand corner. It's going to be right there. This middle gauge is actually how infected we are by the random monsters that are around. So every time we get hit, we get a little bit infected. You'll be able to see it because there will be little red blood cells floating around in here. And the more of them that you have, it's kind of a little bit counterintuitive. Red blood cells, I thought were a good thing, but in this game, they're actually a bad thing. Off that guy, we got an infested nail. We got a Minerva sample A. We got a Class C key card, and we got 1,200 credits. So at least our financial situation has gotten better. We can also, if we really want to, we can go into the used body parts distribution service. I don't know if that's actually a market that they have on Mars, but there's also a box here with another key pass C. We already have one, so we don't need another. Let's go through. That won't open. Okay, the door is non-functional. So let's continue to have a look around. Down this hallway, as I recall, there's another door that we can unlock. Yeah, there it is. And so now with the door open, these are areas that haven't been finished yet, and so anytime you see these little roadblocks, it means that the content that's contained in that area hasn't actually been brought up to 100%. I assume that as time goes along with early access, they're going to open up more and more wings. The game is enormous as it is right now. Like, there's seriously a lot of areas. But as it stands, there's not a whole lot to do aside from explore those areas. Supposedly, there is a storyline buried in here somewhere, but in my 3 or 4 hours of gameplay, just kind of like riding the rails and exploring, I haven't been able to find a lot of it. There are video logs and things around. Our character wants us to search for food. It's a little bit dark in here. There are some food scraps up and underneath the table right there. You can see it on the floor. I'm not going to take those because they're rotten and gross and we don't really need them. And plus, oh no, there's a prisoner right there. Okay, ow, he got us. Got hit by that second one too. You kind of want to dance backwards and then back in. I don't know. I'm bad at video games, so obviously you don't want to take my cue for it, but believe me, you can actually fight those without getting hit. I might need a little warm-up period though. We got some roast beef, some salamon, we got some pineapple, some vitamin D drink, we also got a chocolate bar and a snack. Very generically named. Any box that just says rudimentary snack on the side of it, I might be slightly suspicious of, but you know what? It's video games, so it's not my body that's going to suffer the consequences. It's not I that's going to be lurched over the toilet. Right now, it looks like we're in a pool hall of sorts where we got a billiard glove. We've got 544 credits. You can't equip that glove right there. What it's useful for is actually for the crafting system that's in the game. That's right, just like many other survival horror games, it has a crafting system. Right now, it's pretty rudimentary, but you can definitely see the strands of greatness there. Like, I could definitely see that if the system became more complicated and there was a lot more to do with it, that it could become a very, very solid crafting system. But for right now, it's mostly you break stuff down for base components, which is like electricity, fibers, and metal. And then you combine differing amounts of those things in order to create new gear. That's all there is to it. I can't get into that desk right there. Our line of sight is still a little bit blocked by the nasty darkness in front of us. Why is it so smoky in here? It reminds me of the bowling alley when I was a kid. I don't know if you guys lived back before. So in California, smoking in buildings has been illegal for a long ass time, like seriously, like forever. But if you lived during that time period, you might recall the fact that if you went to a bowling alley or you went to a movie theater or whatever else, people could smoke, and this is what it used to look like inside. I remember when I was a kid, we would go to a karaoke bar, or not like a karaoke, I guess a karaoke kind of restaurant with my parents, and by the time you would get done there after 4 or 5 hours, you would cough up black shit for like the rest of the day. Like seriously, I remember coughing up black stuff. Ooh, towels and shampoo just in case we want to bathe ourselves. For right now, there's Zeds around, and so I never bathe when it's the zombie apocalypse. I have been freed from the things expected of me by modern society. I will be stinky all day long, and there's nothing that you can do about it, ma'am. Let's jump up in the room right here. This is the electrical room, and this is going to become important because this is going to bring a new mechanic into play. So here you'll see that we found a power pack, we found a flashlight. I'm going to take the flashlight and the power pack. I'm going to get the light stick as well. Don't get rid of your light stick. Oh my god. I got rid of my light stick on one playthrough, and it was the worst plan ever because when my flashlight ran out of juice, it sucked. Now when I double click that, you'll see down here the power pack has actually been equipped, but the bar is empty along the side. Nobody likes an empty bar, least of all bartenders, and so we're going to go over to this side, and we need to recharge it, and so we're going to do that with the E key. Now these energy docks right here, they recharge over time, but if you use them too much or you put too much strain on the system, they will run out, so you want to be careful about your power. For now, we're going to fill up to the full part because this is the tutorial section. It's all perfectly fine, and so you'll see the bar in the bottom right hand corner filling up. We now have 750 units of power. After I got over chuckling about the word units in a Beavis and Butthead like fashion, we continued forward. And this is the security control room. Now inside these consoles right here, you're going to find various lore which all pertain to the world, and they'll give you hints about where you should be going in order to get the next hint, and you'll follow them all over the MPO station. For right now, I'm not going to read them because they are actually pretty long. They will show up in this little section over here, so you double click on them and they get inserted into your journal. I'll put it like this, and if you want to, you can pause. Here we go. Pause, 1, 2, 3. Pause, 1, 2, 3. Pause, 1, 2, 3. pause 1, 2, 3 if you wanted to check out the video log and just read it for yourself and get a feel for what the writing is like. I do think the game is translated over from another language. We can turn on our flashlight, so I should probably do that. There we go. Let's project those photons to give us a little bit of ocular assistance, but you will note that our energy is now draining, so be careful about the way that you use your supplies. Inside of here, we found an electric grenade, which doesn't work yet. The item is in-game, but you can't use it. We found a probe, which allows you to scan rooms. We found a gun, which is pretty cool. It's actually got a modification on it that makes it a stun gun that deals damage as well. We got a blueprint for the Loki 700 power gun part, so we'll take that in there. Does it automatically add that to my list of crafting things, or do I have to do that right now? There we go. So we get that automatically. We can equip this by dragging it down to this slot. And so now we have a firearm. The downside to the firearm is that it drains our energy as well. All of the weapons in this game drain energy from your power pack. And so one of the first things that I would invest money into is a new power pack. That's just me personally. But what is this? A okay, so it's an SSD drive. Old storage technology, but it still works. Nothing interesting inside. The next thing that we're going to want to do is we want to find a crafting station. So we got some tape and some scissors, just in case we wanted to get our arts and crafts on. Open. Oh shit. Okay, so we got bad guys down here. Let's use the pistol on them. Our pistol does have a stun attachment, which allows us to get a little bit of a gap in between us and our enemies, so keep that in mind. After killing both of those, my highest recommendation: you're losing parts of yourself, sir. You are just kind of disassembling all over the place. You're disseminating bits of yourself all over the room, and I realize that might not be the best way to word it. But what is this right here? We already did that one, I'm pretty sure. Let's refill real fast because we're not going to be coming back here for a while. There it is, 750 units. I would highly recommend that you use the stun attachment. There's lots of attachments for the guns. They're going to be modifiable by the end. If you wanted to know what that does, think of it like Contra. You know how when you picked up power-ups, you would get like tri-shot or like piercing shot or like flamethrower? Exact same thing in this game. The difference is, if I go to my inventory right now, let's unequip you. Can I here, I want you out of my inventory right now. Go out. There we go. What we can do is we click on this little wrench right here, and there's the parts. And so every gun has a differing amount of pins. The modifications that you add to the gun require a certain amount of pins, and so that's how that works. It's got the energy cost over here, its rate of fire per second, how much damage it does, and then modifications underneath. On the back side, if we go to the uninstall mode, you'll see that we have a Thor attachment right here, which I can actually drag and drop out if I wanted to. And the Thor attachment is what adds the stun to the gun, and so we can drag that into there. And then this piece right here, what does it do? It actually... it determines what our firing rate is. And so the core piece right here determines the damage. And so we can put those things all back where they came from. Stop disassembling my firearm in the middle of a kill zone. Re-equip that. We'll go out through this room. And then the next area that I'm going to introduce you to is the medical zone. And this is going to be the second part of the game, doing research on the things that you're killing. Now, you may have noticed that along the way, we've been finding parts all over the place, like teeth, like little pieces of finger and bone. There's a hairpin right there. Okay, we'll grab that. A couple of chests on the floor. We got a cap and some earphones. I'll take those, just in case we're wanting with regards to style. Oh, no. Luckily, my reflexes were quick enough. But you know what? The old man deep inside of me was trying to sabotage me. Oh, he had an energy drink on him. Cool. He's also got a low-quality Minerva sample, which is the virus that these people are infected with. And he's got an infested tooth. And so now that we've taken a few more parts, you may call me the dentist. I will take it all from you. Let's go through some of the crates right here. And this is where we're going to get to do some of the disassembly and fun. We got a hammer right there, which is a far superior weapon to the nightstick that we're currently using. So we'll probably want to put that in our inventory real fast. You can actually get the basic stats. So that does 20 to 40 damage. That does 40 to 80. Weapons eventually I think are going to have durability, but for right now durability is disabled. The hammer is a really, really good weapon, so we're going to equip that, and then we're going to go to the 3D printer and we're going to disassemble some of the stuff we have here. And so I would like to disassemble the Nagelfar M100. Now what that does is it makes our shots go through the enemy, but if we equip that, it no longer stuns them. I played around with it last night and I was not a fan, so I'm going to disassemble it right now. I'm going to get rid of the Iron Rod. That seems like a nickname for a guy from the 70s. You can call me Iron Rod, king of the discotheque. He's kind of like very Larry, very, very Larry. And so all of this stuff is actually just trash loot. One thing that I would strongly suggest is they add a button that allows you to destroy all the trash, or to click the trash that you've selected and highlighted along the way, allowing you to highlight multiple things at once. But for right now, it's functional for where the game is at in early access. After getting rid of all of these, we'll take a look at the 3D printing capabilities that we have in front of us. The 3D printer will allow you to extract exchange credits for printing things that you want, and also you can go through and buy new recipes if you want to from the shop interface right here. For right now, the blueprint that we picked up, yep, this is where it goes. We can now build a photon part. I don't know what a photon part does, but I'm not going to play with it for right now. What we really need is an MPD standard suit, or it would be really nice if we could get ourselves a new power cell. So what we could do right now is we can log in using our class security. We have that C card, you know, that we picked up. It lets us in for the C class items. Now, A class and B class cards are in the game, but you don't have access to the A or B class security stuff as far as I can tell. I've played the game for about 4 hours, and I don't know if there's a gate in there somewhere, but as of right now, when you go back to this part, you can actually click on this little menu right here. Hold on, let me go back. And when you go to the shop, you can actually click on this right here, and it'll open up for the different security cards that you have. I've noticed no difference between putting in an A card or a B card versus a C card. You always get the C inventory, and so I think it's actually not implemented yet. I'm going to make the MPD suit. It's going to cost us a little bit of metal, so 10 metal out of 93, and glass fibers, 20 out of 88. And so let's go ahead and create that for ourselves. Now that we've got the suit, we can go to our inventory. Bam, it changes the way our character looks. Checked that box for me. That's definitely a positive in my book. I love games that allow you to see the armor and the achievements that you have accumulated over the course of the game. We're going to disassemble that suit so that we're not carrying it around for much longer. This episode will probably be a little bit longer so that you can get a better feel for the game, because as of right now, we're still sort of in the tutorial period. Is there a guy in there? There is. Alright, well, I'm going to use up all my electricity to blast this fool. Just give him a good blanket of fire, a good blanket of lightning, since we are... Ooh, we're a little bit thirsty. We have a moderate thirst. Well, let's handle that at the moment. We need to go to our menu right here, and I'm going to drink my vitamin D. And so there it is. Why do you want to fill this up? Because your stamina actually progressively gets lower and lower and lower, and your immune system gets worse and worse and worse based on the system that, or based on the amount of fluids and food that you have in your system. And so if you aren't full and you aren't actually slaked, what'll happen is the background right here will change colors, which is how susceptible you are to the virus. Now, as you get more and more infected, you can get rid of that by doing scientific research, which we'll check out in just a second. I think these are just bathroom stalls. Yeah, there's another bag right here, just in case you wanted to. Ah, there's the other key cards. So I can actually show this point off. We can also take a bag if we want, and we can sell it, or we can break it down in this machine over here, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Break that bag down with just a combination of both a 3D printer and horrible words about its mother. We'll break that down. It's going to give us some pretty good composite pieces, so nothing to complain about there. I prefer to keep my inventory all nice and cleaned out because this game has a lot of items, and you will definitely have a full inventory very quickly. Inside here we find a blood pack, which is required in order to get rid of critical bleeding. In this desk, we find a Minerva Perception, which is actually a modification. It gives you a temporary buff that lets you see better, allows you to see the red outline of enemies that are hiding behind doors and stuff like that. We have an Adrenal Shot, which allows you to move faster and attack better. Pretty cool. I'll take it. And then there's also a medical chest down here with some basic stuff. A med kit so you can heal yourself, band-aids, bandages to get rid of bleeding, a nano casting kit in case you break a bone. I've never broken a bone yet, but I assume it's in there somewhere. And a Minerva Healing Jab C, which is, once again, just another healing item. So we'll grab those all out of the chest. This is where research is done. And so inside the bio research lab, what you can do is you can actually insert all the various parts you've been taking from enemies. And it'll take a little bit, but it'll sit there and it'll process the materials that you put into it. The reward, and so let's say that we go with a Minerva Sample C. This will say like 20% after this gets done, which means we need to process it 5 times. After we get done processing it up to 100%, we'll get a bunch of items right here that allows us to combine things that we find in the world to make new medical compounds that will get rid of our infections, they'll heal our character, and do all kinds of good stuff. So there's things to look forward to as far as the crafting system goes. For now, what I want to introduce you to is actually the map, which is enormous as far as the game goes. There's a torn doll right there. I'm often torn as well. It's not something to be worried about. Sometimes you're just torn between decisions. An energy drink, and then we've got ourselves nothing in that vending machine. This is the pipeline, and so this runs in between all the various sectors of Mars. If we get in, it'll bring us to the map, and look at the size of this thing for right now. Every single one of these zones that we can go to has its own little area that you can explore. And so, for example, while they haven't put in a lot of these things right here, eventually I think these are going to be prerequisites for knocking out security in other areas and things like that. If you look, there's different icons on each one of these, which sort of denote what they do in that location. I'm wondering how these are going to interact in the future. As of right now, no word as to how that's going to work, but in my mind, it would be very cool if at some point you would would have to go over here to knock out like some cameras in this sector, and then after knocking out the cameras, you could go over here, you could go over here, and you could go over here. Like, basically, you could go through and you could eliminate security systems. You could do various things for various parties that allow you to access other areas. A lot of cool ideas, but the map is pretty large for right now. Everything that's throbbing at us is a place that we can go. And so where do you want to go? I like Pisces. Let's go with Pisces. How long is that going to take? Or we could just go to the Aquarius terminal. The Murray Center you can go to, but it's blocked off with yellow pylons right now, so I don't think that it's done. Let's go to... Well, given the fact that everybody is infected with a disease, let's go to Cancer. I think that would be fitting. It's going to take us an hour and 10 minutes to get there, and it saves our game every time we transition zones. So if you're not a fan of permadeath, they are going to have a permadeath mode when the game comes out where you can play it like a roguelite or a roguelike. However, for right now, you can just play it and it saves, and if you really want to play hardcore mode or Iron Man or whatever, you can just delete your save when you die. We can speed this up. It takes a while to go location to location if you don't. And you will see that our hunger still works while we're traveling for an hour and 10 minutes in between locations. I'm going to let that build up for a little while because I find it's actually the most efficient to use things when you're down to about 50% hunger and stuff like that. Let's have a look around right here in Cancer Station. So it looks like there's a couple of beers in there and there's a soft drink. That's good because I find myself being thirsty a lot more than hungry, so... An empty can, well, it's junk that we can break down if we find ourselves another recombiner unit. Let's be careful going into here because they could be just about anywhere. If I had to say anything, the game actually reminds me a lot of Darkwood, except a little bit faster paced and a little bit more action-oriented. This room is now safe, so we swept it and we cleared it because we like to leave every location cleaner than we came in. Inside here we found a small pillow to rest our tiny little head. Don't mention it to the character. He's very, very self-conscious about his tiny-ass head. We've also got a cap and 512 credits. There's a guy in there. I'm going to stun him and gun him. But we do want to be careful about the usage of our electricity because you never know when you're going to come across another charger. Now, at the end of the day, we could just go back to the place we came from, and over time, that thing will recharge. But you've got to think about the efficiency of doing that because you're using up food in order to travel. And so, as time goes along, you're going to have less and less supplies. About 1,000 credits right there. And inside, what is going on over here? There's no vents or anything for us to worry about. This looks like a medical chest. It's got a painkiller, which is good for getting our health back. So I'm going to use that right now. Let's go painkiller on this thing, and you'll see that our health goes back up very, very slowly. It takes a while. I think it takes 5 minutes, but it's 5 in-game minutes, which is actually more like 15 seconds. We didn't get much out of it. I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of a lower tier healing item. For right now, oh no. Okay, so let me get the hammer out because our electricity is looking low. And wandering this game in darkness is a really, really bad idea. It's not going to work out for you. Ah, he got me with that one right there. Stay out of the way, jump back in and whack him with the hammer. Now that he's dead, we'll take his $600, which I don't know what he was going to use them for. But I'm going to spend them on space drugs. Ow, ow, ow. He jumped me coming out of the door. All right, I'm going to get him. Oh man, we're taking some damage right now. Okay, so he's down. We knocked a tooth out of him with a hammer. Not the most pain-free extraction method, but it still worked out. I think there will probably be goodies in here. Nothing inside of there. Is there anything? Can I do anything with this right here? I can. A nano casting kit, just in case you need to make a specialized casting call for your stay here. Is this a research unit right here? Hey, it is. Let's see what research we can do based on the parts that we have. And so we can research... the infested tooth. Let's get that going. We don't have to sit here and wait for it. We can actually wander off and do whatever the hell we want. It's perfectly fine. Just make sure you come back and check on it every now and again. Hemostatic gel and a medical kit. We're actually really, really well stocked on medical stuff right now. We're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. Did we just get a manometer? What the hell is that? A manometer. Scrap metal for recycling goodness. What the hell is a manometer? Does it help us fight a man? Is it kind of like Grindr but more long-term oriented? Like you're trying to find not just like a hookup. You're trying to find somebody to be with for life. I got you. I got hookup and then together for life. Wow, we are just getting the shit slapped out of us right now. He's taken down. I don't know why they disintegrate right. I don't know if it's like a supernatural thing or what's going on. Let me go ahead and heal myself. That's what I was going to do before I did this. The Band-Aid is pretty good for this. You can see down to the bottom right there. You see how the background is yellow? That's because we're hungry right now. And so the virus can actually affect us pretty soon if we let that get too low. I don't know exactly if that's how it works. I rarely let it get down that low, but... it seems to change colors, and in the tutorial they pointed out that you become more susceptible to the virus the darker the color of the background is, whereas the little red cells indicate how infected you are. So watch out, everybody. We've got a tie right there, but our bag is full. That's a little bit unfortunate because I think we'd probably be able to find a few more goodies in here. You can only hold so many things. The humidifiers are nice because they would allow us to get some of these. You see that little blue part you get right there? It looks like the little metallic things that Mega Man picks up in Mega Man X. Anyways, it allows us to create electrical objects like new guns and things of that nature. You want to be on the lookout for it. I'm going to use some of these buffs real fast. I don't think they negatively affect us that much. It'll give us, okay, so our adrenal glands looking good. Let's grab those. The next thing that I'd like to do is let's feed ourselves real fast. So we'll eat the pineapple. And as per the norm, in every survival game ever, our character drinks like, or eats and drinks like a disgusting savage. Let's go ahead and drink right there. We'll drink some beer because obviously you always want to drink beer when you're in the middle of a radioactive monster-filled hellhole. I think we should probably heal up a little bit further. We've taken some rough damage. And so there goes a little bit more health. Okay, and so maybe we'll go with a painkiller or something. I'm going to save my medkits for when I'm really beat up about this. Anything in here? It looks like we got another zombie back behind those walls. But how that connects, I can't really tell you. We've got snacks and humidifiers. Apparently, keeping the humidity at the proper level is a very important concern at this colony. I don't know. It looks like something that people really seem to apply themselves to. I apologize if you can hear that in the background. The sprinklers just came on. But since you've seen the game at this point, I think that it's probably important for us to talk about just what there is to do in the game as of right now. So let's get to it. In my experience with early access, there are two kinds of games. There's those that have a sense of like what they want to be and have already put that plan in motion. So there's actually something workable there that you can put your hands on and you can say, yeah, I feel like this game has a concept that's its own and that someday it's going to be a full game. In the other corner, you have games that are still really confined to sort of like the theoretical and have yet to really flesh out their own mechanics, and they don't have that sense of self. And those are the EA games that I get very nervous about. Subterrain is in the former category, and the things already available in the early access version are enough to figure out more or less how the game is going to function come release day. There are minor things that I would look at. I think the melee combat should have some complication added because being able to sprint backwards makes a lot of the fights trivial. So I would say that you should remove sprinting backwards. Simultaneously, they should add maybe like a dodge, which is on a cooldown, a block, which is on a cooldown, or maybe some other melee utilities in exchange for removing that from the game. But all in all, if they fleshed out the melee a little bit and made that a tad more complicated, not a lot, because you don't want to turn it into some super complicated brawl every time you fight a zombie, but still, I think there is room for expansion right there to make it a little bit better. I would say that the firearms, keep adding more. I mean, there's already enough varieties of firearms in the game. There's going to be scatterguns, all kinds of crazy stuff. The things that are in the game right now are already pretty fun to play around with, from the lasers to, you know, the stun guns to just a bunch of other variants that you can download from the market if you wanted to. And so I think the firearms are going to flesh out as well. They may want to look into giving you some guns that have their own bullets and their own ammo so that you're not constantly draining your electricity, but make those like super rare maybe. But I can see the energy pack as kind of part of the game's whole package. Like, it's one of the mechanics that sort of dictates the tenor and the flow of the game, so I get it. Enemy variety has been limited in my time. I think that that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about, but the game world is so large that I'm not sure. Like, I've hit probably 10, 15 different ports. Like, I've been to a lot of different random areas, and I've seen some variations. There's the guards, there's the zombies with the chunks of their brains sticking out that seem to be a lot more aggressive and kind of like leveled up. But it's hard to say in a world that's that size whether or not I've seen a real representative sample, so keep that in mind. Looking through the achievements on Steam, it does seem like there's a lot there, and the developers have already put multiple endings in the game as of the first release revision. And so I just take a second and soak that in for a moment and just really sort of realize an early access game that you can actually win multiple ways in its first like 0.04 alpha iteration. That's a rare thing. I mean, that's not something that I ever expect from an early access game, and so I think that does say something interesting about it. Graphically, I think the game looks okay. I've never been a fan of sort of the disjointed, the top half of your body is controlled by the mouse and the bottom half is controlled by the keyboard, but that's going to be largely up to the player. I think that that's just one of those things that I'm a bit peevish about, and so if you are as well, you know, but I think it's a stylistic choice. I really think that a lot of the locations could use a little bit of flavor or branding to help distinguish them from one another. Why not have certain parts of the building that are on fire, for example? Have some parts of the building where maybe flora and fauna have overgrown and taken over everything, and maybe the virus the Minerva virus affects the plants or affects the animals that are there. You know, there's different ways that they can make each section of the space station different, while at the same time it all being part of that same ecosphere that they exist in. But I mean, I found the horror aspect of the game to be a little bit wanting. It might be due to the overabundance of firearms, so that's the other thing that I would say. I'd like to see more AIs, which kind of like hunt, wait around corners, run along the edges of your vision, because you have a very limited cone the entire game. But those are all things that there's plenty of room in future versions to add. And so all in all, with Subterrain, I've been pretty impressed with what it offers, and while it's not a really complicated game, I think that in its earliest form, it could someday be a game that has some complication under the surface, while at the liminal level, it's very, very easy to pick up and play. I think the game would definitely benefit from being moddable. I think the game would benefit from being part of the Steam workshop, and so there's some interesting stuff here. If you're looking for a top-down survival shooter game, you could do a lot worse than Subterrain. As of right now, it's $11.99 on Steam. I think someday it'll probably be up for sale. If you like the ideas that the game has, absolutely support this one. I think that having played what I've played, if I had dropped $12 on it, obviously I played on a review copy, but $12 I would feel justified right now. As of right now, I've got about 4 hours played. I'm planning on playing it later tonight. And, you know, that's of my own volition. I'm enjoying the game enough to where I'm playing it over other games right now that I should be reviewing. And so I think that says something. If you wanted to check out Subterrain, I got a link down below. My name is Splattercat. This is called Weekly Indie Newcomer, which is the review first impression series that I do here on the channel. If you enjoy it, give it a like down below. There will always be more. I am going to be ramping up my reviews going into the future. We're going to be transitioning from a Let's Play channel to a review and Let's Play channel. So the content's going to be about 50-50 a couple months from now. So I'll see y'all later. I look forward to it. Subterrain Underground Base Apocalypse, developed by Pixelore. I will see you all next time. Hi, everybody.